Core values: safety and health. We share a personal and professional commitment to protecting the safety and health of our employees, our contractors, our customers, and the people of the communities in which we operate. Environmental stewardship. We find science-enabled sustainable solutions for our customers, always managing our businesses to protect the environment and preserve the Earth's natural resources, both for today and for the generations in the future. Highest ethical behavior. We conduct ourselves and our business affairs in accordance with the highest ethical standards and in compliance with all applicable laws, striving always to be respected corporate citizens worldwide. Respect for people. We treat our employees and all our partners with professionalism, dignity, and respect, fostering an environment where people can contribute, innovate, and excel. Saving rules. Seatbelts. All employees are required to wear a seatbelt while in a moving vehicle on company business, in a company vehicle, or on company property. Mobile phones. Mobile phones or other portable electronic devices shall not be used while operating any vehicle on company business or on company property, or while operating any company-provided vehicle at any time. This includes hands-free devices. Confined space entry. No person shall perform confined space entry without having the proper permit and following site procedure. Lock, tag, try. No person shall work on any piece of equipment without following the site lock, tag, try procedures. Safety interlocks. Safety interlocks shall not be bypassed without proper authorization. Electrical. No person shall work on energized electrical equipment without proper authorization and appropriate protective equipment. Fall protection. Proper fall protection shall be in place when working from an elevated position. Direct or willfully condone violations of Pioneer life-saving rules. A person will not direct or willfully condone any violation of Pioneer life-saving rules. There will be no smoking, chewing, or e-cigarettes on company property. This applies to everyone. Drug and alcohol use seriously affects your ability to perform your job and may also jeopardize your safety and the safety of others. DuPont Pioneer prohibits and has zero tolerance for the possession, purchase, sale, transfer, use, or being under the influence of illegal drugs. Possession, use, or under the influence of alcohol is forbidden on company or customers' property, company vehicles, while on company business, or any time during the workday. DuPont Pioneer is committed to provide a positive and productive work environment free of harassment. It will not be tolerated. If you believe you have been subjected to harassment, report it directly to your employer or a DuPont Pioneer supervisor. If someone will be offended by the jokes you tell, gestures you make, and remarks you say, don't do it. Workplace violence prevention prohibits engagement in any form of workplace violence while conducting company business or on company property, either in person, by phone, email, or in any other electronic format. Prohibiting behavior includes but is not limited to violent or threatening physical contact, physical restraint or confinement, direct or indirect threats towards others on company property, destructive or sabotaging actions against company or employees' personal property, stalking, direct vulgar, profane, or angry comments towards others on company property, possession of weapons of any type on company property, commission of a violent felony or misdemeanor on company property. Just remember, respect for others is a core value of DuPont. Workers who are aware of a threat or incident of workplace violence shall report this immediately. Any suspicious individuals or activities in the workplace should be reported immediately. Workers are expected to be truthful and report factual information. Report to your employer and or DuPont Pioneer supervisor. Contact immediately. In case of imminent or actual danger, call 911. Retaliation against any person associated with a good faith report, investigation, or a victim of workplace violence is strictly prohibited. Violation of this policy may lead to disciplinary action up to and including removal from assignment and could result in criminal prosecution. The possession of weapons is strictly prohibited for anyone at DuPont Pioneer while conducting company business or on company property, including all buildings, parking lots, recreation areas, and any owned or leased property. Weapons shall not be stored or transported in company-owned, rented, or leased vehicles or in personal vehicles when used on company business. Anyone who violates this policy may be subject to disciplinary action and criminal prosecution. Your employer will be notified of violations or infractions. Your employer or DuPont Pioneer management may have a conversation with you to get additional details or provide you information on appropriate policy and/or behavior. your employer will follow their disciplinary process. Your employer will provide an update to DuPont Pioneer Management regarding the infraction status, process, or resolution. Repeat offenses will result in removal from assignment. Unless you are trained to be an authorized or qualified electrical employee by the Electrical Safety Program leader, you are not allowed to open or work in any of the electrical panels on the worksite. Voltage ranges can be from 24 volts DC to 480 volts AC and can cause serious injury or death if not handled properly. Horseplay is not allowed. Examples of horseplay include, but are not limited to, tossing items, throwing tassels, kicking dirt clods, wrestling, chasing or running, or tampering with equipment. OSHA Standard 1910-1200 requires employers to establish a program to transmit information on the hazards of workplace chemicals to their employees by means of labels, material safety data sheets, and training programs. Material safety data sheets are available online. They're also available on-site during all work hours. They provide you with the information you need to know to work safely with chemicals in our facility. Safety knives shall be used for general cutting purposes around the plant. An approved safety knife for the plant is described as a knife with an automatic blade cover. The use of a non-safety utility knife, pocket knives, etc. is not allowed. It is suggested that all workers on assignment do not carry unapproved pocket knives or multi-tools with fixed blades. Kevlar or cut-resistant gloves must be worn while using a safety knife. When cutting stretch wrap, you must use a moving edge knife while wearing leather gloves. Avoid risky behaviors that contribute to hand injuries. Make for sure you wear the proper PPE, pay attention at all times, stay out of the line of fire, maintain your cutting blades, and do not rush. Ergonomics is a study of relationships between the worker and the work environment, and the process of designing the work environment to meet the needs of the worker. Make for sure you get help with heavy or awkward loads. Use the proper lifting technique by using your legs and not your back. Wear good shoes that are not worn out. Don't bend, twist, reach, stretch, rotate, or overexert yourself for long periods of time. Take your breaks, and just make your job easier. Cell phone use is not allowed while operating a vehicle. Seatbelts are required at all times while the vehicle is moving. Speed limit is 15 miles per hour, but verify that with your location. Riders are not allowed in the bed of pickup trucks. Contract agency workers may drive DuPont Pioneer-owned, leased, or rented vehicles for company business if they have met the following criteria.
Welcome to the Driving Safety module. By the end of this module, you should be able to explain Pioneer's policies and the do's and don'ts of safe driving. Globally, DuPont Pioneer drivers travel over 100 million miles a year. To put this number in perspective, you would have to take over 4,000 trips around the world's equator to reach 100 million miles driven. This amount of exposure on the road is the reason we created the Drive Safe system. Drive Safe serves as a roadmap to guide our business to world-class performance in driving safety. It is a DuPont Pioneer's commitment to make sure everyone gets home safe every day. Take a minute to watch the following video on Drive Safe and its components. So now let's go over some of our key driving policies. All employees driving on company business must possess a valid driver's license and follow all restrictions as stated on their license. In addition, all employees driving on company business must be physically able to operate a vehicle safely. Employee-owned personal vehicles used for company business must be legally registered, insured, and in safe operating condition. The Pioneer Driving and Vehicle Safety Program ensures that all employees are properly trained, qualified, and licensed to operate company vehicles and personal vehicles on company business. Through this program, we also strive to improve the driving skills and attitudes of drivers. All employees who drive on company business will receive some type of annual driver training based on the frequency of their business-related travels. Pioneer recognizes that seatbelts are extremely effective in preventing injuries and loss of life. We care about our employees and want to make sure that no one is injured or killed in a tragedy that could have been prevented by wearing seatbelts. Therefore, all employees are required to wear a seatbelt while they are in a moving vehicle on company business, in a company vehicle, or in a vehicle on company property, including parking lots. Public motor vehicle transportation and chartered transportation without seatbelts should be used only when reasonable alternatives are not available. Large motor coaches, public transportation buses, and school buses may not be equipped with seatbelts, but they do provide occupant protection through compartmentalization. These rules apply to all employees and contractors of Pioneer Hybrid International Incorporated, Pioneer Overseas Corporation, and Pioneer subsidiaries worldwide. Violation of these rules will result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Pioneer's mobile phone safety policy applies to anyone using a mobile phone or other portable electronic device while operating any vehicle on company business or on company property, or while operating a company-provided vehicle at any time. The policy also applies to using a company-provided device in a personal vehicle on personal time. While a vehicle is in motion or stopped in traffic situations, you shall not use cellular or mobile telephones, text messaging devices, computers, personal digital assistants or PDAs, smartphones such as BlackBerry or iPhone, electronic games, or hands-free devices. If it is absolutely necessary that you use a cell phone or other electronic device while on the move, please use your best judgment to determine if an area is safe for stopping. Safe stopping places might include, but are not limited to, rest areas, designated parking areas, and parking lots. Stopping along the side or on the shoulder of a major highway should not be considered except in emergency conditions. Use of a vehicle navigation system or personal music player is allowed, but shall only be programmed when the vehicle is stopped and parked in a safe position. These cellular phone restrictions do not apply to emergency calls and for communicating between vehicles requiring or providing escort, such as wide loads as permitted by local law. We will now watch a video on the hazards of using cellular phones while driving.
We hear a lot that all distractions are dangerous and we shouldn't pick on cell phones, for example, and I can understand why people would say that, but there's actually some pretty significant differences. And there's two things that result in crashes. One is the danger of the risk itself, the activity we're involved in. And cell phone use while driving has about a 4 times odds ratio of crashing. In other words, you're 4 times more likely to crash if you're using a cell phone than if you're not using one. There's no difference between handheld and hands-free. That's a pretty significant distraction. There are other distractions that are worse. Reaching for a moving object is about 9 times more likely to crash. But the difference is, the other half of the equation is how often are people doing it. You know, we know people put on makeup while driving. Thank goodness not that many people do it at any given time. But cell phones, we think about 10% of all drivers at any given time are talking on a cell phone while driving. That's off the charts compared to other distractions. Plus, cell phone use is something definitive. There's something we can do about cell phone use. We can take cell phones, we can help people not use cell phones while driving. We can put technology on cell phones that will make them safer.
In this folder, I have a few safe driving guidelines that should be practiced anytime you drive on company business. These are basically the do's and don'ts of driving, which I am going to share with you. always remember to obey all posted state and federal traffic laws when operating any motorized vehicle. When driving, give yourself plenty of space and time to make good decisions. This means looking ahead 12 to 15 seconds so you know what is happening in the distance. When following other drivers, make sure to leave plenty of distance, at least 2 to 4 seconds, between you and the cars in front of you. All Pioneer drivers shall adhere to the Pioneer helmet policy. When traveling on business, do not use motorcycles, vehicles with convertible tops unless equipped with rollover protection, and vehicles with open tops other than sunroofs. Pioneer drivers must always make sure that they are fit to drive, and should get behind the wheel only when they are physically and mentally able to do so. And most importantly, the use of radar detectors in the storage or transportation of weapons, explosives, ammunition, or fireworks is not allowed in vehicles used for company business.
A helmet is required by all who ride a motorcycle and or bicycle on Pioneer property, including the parking lots. Pioneer does not expect you to fight fires. However, you need to know the proper response and emergency procedures in the event that a fire does occur. Use of a fire extinguisher. Use the PASS system. Pull the pin, aim the extinguisher, squeeze the handle, and sweep at the base of the fire.
In the event of a fire, remember the acronym A-FIRE. A stands for alarm, F for fight or flee, I for identify, R for review, and E for extinguish or evacuate. Always sound the alarm before taking any action so as to make sure that others in the area know of the emergency. Fighting a fire in its early stages can save property and lives, but your personal safety is the #1 priority. You must always assess the situation to determine if it is safe to fight the fire, and if the fire can be extinguished with a portable fire extinguisher. Flee to the designated safe site if the fire is too large or your personal safety is at risk. Identify the type of fire, that is, dry trash, electrical, and the like, and quickly locate the proper extinguisher. If you cannot find the correct extinguisher, or if you have not been trained to use a fire extinguisher, it is best that you do not try to fight the fire. Before you approach the fire, review the instructions regarding the proper use of the fire extinguisher. Extinguish the fire if possible using portable fire extinguishers. Otherwise, evacuate the building. Remember, Pioneer does not expect you to fight fires. Our primary expectation is that you pull the fire alarm or call security in the event of a fire. If you do decide to use a fire extinguisher, remember the PASS method. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. First, pull out the pin that secures the release handle. Aim the extinguisher nozzle at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle, but do not get startled by the noise or velocity of the agent as it is released. Sweep the agent stream from side to side across the base of the fire until it is completely out.
Every Pioneer location and vehicles are provided with first aid kits. Immediately report all work-related injuries, illnesses, and property damage, including near misses or close calls, to your employer, supervisor, and DuPont Pioneer. You must inform your employer agency supervisor. It is not acceptable to only inform DuPont Pioneer of any illnesses, injury, or property damage, near misses, or close calls. DuPont Pioneer may have a nurse on call if needed for life-threatening emergencies. You have the right to request that your case be identified as a privacy concern case. You also have the right to access your medical and exposure records. Bloodborne pathogens are microorganisms present in the blood which can cause diseases, including but not limited to hepatitis B and HIV. Transmission is only directly through the contact of bodily fluids. The exposed blood must be infectious and must be allowed to enter directly into the body. That's why we need to use universal precautions to treat all blood and bodily fluids as if they carry bloodborne pathogens. Protect yourself. Place an effective barrier between yourself and any exposed bodily fluid from the other person. Treat and protect yourself first and the victim second. Bloodborne pathogen kits are located near first aid kits. If you've had a work-related bloodborne pathogen exposure, report that to your plant safety coordinator. Pioneer does not intend for any employee to be exposed to blood or other bodily fluids on the job. If you choose to assist another employee in the event of an injury, be sure to protect yourself before providing assistance. In the event that there is unprotected exposure to another person's blood, report that fact to your supervisor.
What if something happened and you could have said something that could have prevented an injury or a fatality, and you didn't? It's going to be devastating across the board.
Caring for your coworkers is one of the most important choices you can make to promote safety on the job. When everyone is watching out for each other, together you're building a safety net that is much stronger and much safer than if everyone was just watching out for themselves. Make a choice to care about the safety of your coworkers. Choose to speak up if you see coworkers doing something unsafe that could potentially harm themselves or others. Choose to care about their families. Remember that your coworker is someone's mom or dad, husband or wife, son, daughter, brother or sister, someone who makes a difference in their lives.
I sort of took my brother for granted, like how much he meant to me and everything, and I didn't get to tell him enough. And then as soon as I lost him, I realized that I wanted to tell him all of that, and I couldn't.
Care for your coworkers as if they're your best friends. Because I really believe that when a tragedy happens in the workplace, there's far more victims than the immediate person who was injured or the person who was, or the person who died.
There's so many things in hindsight that people look back and say, why wasn't this being done? Why didn't they do it this way? There's at least 10 different ways that day could have been prevented.
People take shortcuts all the time, not having any idea of the consequences or the repercussions of just that 1 second.
Personal protective equipment information. Safety glasses will be provided and shall be worn when corn is waist height or taller. Closed-toed, closed-heeled footwear shall be worn, but no flip-flops or sandals are allowed. A hat must be worn when working outside. Use of sunscreen is strongly recommended. Hearing protection may be required depending on the task that you are assigned. Appropriate attire is required for work activities and shall meet all PPE requirements for any assigned or working condition. Closed-toed, closed-heeled shoes, hats, shirts or t-shirts that extend to the shoulder are required. Long or short pants are required and must be at the appropriate length. All undergarments must be covered. You are not allowed to wear sandals, flip-flops, swimwear, spaghetti straps, muscle shirts, or any apparel that displays inappropriate language, pictures, signs that are harassing or vulgar, or competitors' logos. Due to the danger of entanglement, workers shall remove, cover, or secure all jewelry, rings, necklaces, dangling earrings, loose clothing, dangling jacket strings, and anything else that could become entangled or catch when working around rotating or moving equipment, or when working at elevation, climbing on or off ladders, vehicles, or other equipment. Loose clothing or other items, including hair or beards long enough to be considered a hazard, shall be tied back, tucked in, or secured when working on or near moving machinery. Anyone conducting maintenance or construction activities cannot just cover or secure rings and jewelry, but shall remove it. If you feel the need to use a dust mask, they are available. Review the need for a respirator based on the task being performed. Everyone must sign the OSHA Appendix D for voluntary use. Please review the emergency action plan for the location that you will be working for internal and external emergencies. If you see lightning or hear thunder, notify the field supervisor. Instructions for leaving the field will be provided by the field supervisor. If caught in an open field with no shelter, avoid being the tallest object in the area. Avoid leaning against equipment or standing in a group out in the open. Stay clear of irrigation systems and do not climb on or touch it. There are different levels of heat stress: heat rash, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Symptoms may include dizziness, nausea, muscle cramps, excessive sweating, headaches, and blurred vision. Prevention: drink plenty of fluids, take frequent breaks, eat breakfast and lunch, and avoid caffeine and alcohol. Notify the field supervisor if you experience any of these symptoms. Be aware that it may take 14 days to get acclimated to the heat. You should develop a plan to help your body acclimate to the working conditions. Please try to get 2 hours of heat exposure outside each day for the next 14 days or prior to starting the assignment. The first 5 days, your body improves its cardiovascular functions in the heat. The first 8 days, your body core temperature is adjusted. Resting in the heat without physical activity will not get you acclimated to the heat. You will come into contact with pollen in the fields, which can cause allergic reactions. You may experience a rash while in the field. This is commonly known as corn rash. You can protect yourself by wearing a lightweight cotton long-sleeve shirt and long pants. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease where airways become sensitive to allergens. Coughing, trouble breathing, chest tightness, fatigue, and nighttime coughing. If you experience any of these symptoms, please notify the field supervisor immediately. Sanitation equipment will be provided at the fields. Equipment including porta-johns and hand washing facilities are provided. Please wash your hands before handling any food. Worker Protection Standard. All employees will be trained on the Worker Protection Standard for field pesticide safety. This training will be given during the Level 2 training with a certified trainer. You must adhere to your assigned work schedule. You must be at work on time each day unless otherwise approved to be late or absent by your DuPont Pioneer supervisor and your employer. You must report to DuPont Pioneer and your employer when you will be absent or late to work prior to your start time. DuPont Pioneer and your employer will not be responsible for you during non-working hours. If you stay on site after work waiting for a ride, please remain in the warehouse or in the parking area. Please park your vehicle in designated parking areas only. Remember to back into parking stalls so that when you leave, you will be going forward. Always be reminded that safety is a core value of DuPont Pioneer. Please conduct yourself with this in mind throughout the day. Employee ID cards may be used at your location. Please check in and out with an employee ID card each day at sites where it is required. Your employee ID card will have your name and picture on it. If you lose your ID card, there could be a fee payable by you to replace it. A safety reminder to parents and guardians. If your child is not feeling well, do not force them to report to work or keep working. If we see the job isn't a good fit, the employer may call the parent or guardian.